No, Matt. I mean, there's a lot of positives in there for me, and I know that I'm not the kind of person who normally says that when we haven't won, but there was a lot of unknowns coming into this game for us. The game was an opportunity for us to set a marker. What are the things that we need to improve on in the next couple of months, to be genuinely competitive and at the really top end. The Hurricanes are the most dominant team in Super Rugby of over the last couple of years. They're like the Man United of rugby. I thought in that first half we really played some good rugby, and then one of the unfortunate things that happened was Jack Debrusini just misread that kick. He thought it was obviously going to touch, and it was, I've seen it on the replay, it's absolute milliseconds. It bounces into their hand and they score. So there's a big momentum shift in the game at that point, and then obviously losing Marf at half-time, who was just having a great game and was a pretty key part of our plan, changed the momentum of the game. But ultimately we lost the game because they controlled the field better. They strategically managed the field better, and I thought a couple of times we gave them back-to-back penalties, and probably in previous weeks, we've maybe got away with things like that, whereas against a team like the Hurricanes, you don't get away with things like that, and that's a really good lesson for us. Why did they control the field better? Well, they're more experienced than we are. They're a more experienced team than we are at this point. I think their halves have probably played 100-something games together. Our halves have played 5. So it's not fair to sort of expect 100% equal contest in those areas. But I think for us, I think we feel pretty good about a lot of the things that we've been doing, and we know that if we keep improving in the way that we have over the last couple of weeks, I think come July, when it's playoff time, we can be a lot more competitive on the scoreline.
Do you think that half hour was something that they really just kicked them away from?
Yeah, and more I felt in that time probably through little silly errors of our own, but that's the point, that's the quality of the Hurricanes, at the same time, I felt particularly in that first sort of 30-35 minutes when we had the ball, we really were attacking well. We were causing their defence a lot of problems, and that's the sort of stuff that we can definitely build on.
I agree too. There's obviously clearly plenty of positives, just to really hold that momentum.
Yeah, we didn't manage parts of the field well. So our restart didn't work exactly the way we had planned. They got some little bit of momentum on the back of that. Then you go to a set piece, and they potentially got a penalty out of that. So now they're starting to build some momentum. You're on the back foot, and it just sort of snowballs in moments of the game. And so for us, it's about in those moments, what do we do differently? I think for our players, it's to realise that, for example, not every scrum is created equal. Some scrums are more important than other scrums, and when you haven't had momentum for a while, you haven't had the ball for a little while, that particular scrum is much more important than the scrum that happened 5 minutes before it, or maybe the next scrum. It's that scrum you have to absolutely empty the tank and make sure that we win it, and that's the sort of stuff that champion teams understand, and I think we're just learning that. And I think unfortunately you don't learn it unless you go through the experience of it. So we're gonna take I take a lot of positives out of that game. I thought a lot of the things that we planned and try to execute worked well for us, and unfortunately just against a very class team we gave them far too many opportunities.
Do you think they're the team to beat?
Yeah, I would say. I would say so. Chris Boyd has, since he started coaching Super Rugby, the Hurricanes probably the last 5 years been the team to beat. He's won 80% of his games. So they're not only beating Australian teams, they're beating most teams, and you can see why.
Adam, how did you find the break being someone there?
Yeah, I think we knew what was coming. We know they come with high line speed, and we knew they're fairly tight throughout the field. So we knew we had to sometimes put our head down and do some tough carries, and we thought we'd get some pay out of the back of that. And then sometimes I felt like just trying to push the pass a little bit instead of tightening up and just putting your head down and doing the hard work first, which maybe back-to-back errors, like I said, like Dave said, earlier on, is it really swung the momentum, and they capitalised off our errors or off our ill discipline. But yeah, really proud of the boys, how they started the game, but we can't be a 40-minute team. And I just thought we were missing that intensity in the second half. And we'll look to rectify that.
So that intensity drop off in the second half, how strong's the link with Naki?
Yeah, I mean, Naki's a massive part of our team, like he won Super Rugby Player of the Year in Australia last year in the team that came last, so he's a fair player, and he was playing very well. But I think more than that, it's probably just, we gave them too much possession. I think there was a point in that second half, first 20 minutes of the second half, they had 66% of the possession. Like, you're not going to keep the Hurricanes out for long periods of time.
A lot of that was penalties, though, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just silly things that we were doing, and that's kind of what I'm saying, like our ability to understand this is the moment to throw a loose pass versus that same moment at a different time of the game, you hold that ball, and that's understanding the momentum of the game, where the game's at, to try to actually control it, always building pressure, and that's what they do very well. That's why they're the best team in the comp.
Is he a bit gassed?
Yeah, well, they almost had to wrestle him to try and take him for an HIA because he didn't want to go. Like he was keen. He's just keen to get back out there and go again. That's the sort of guy he is. But I thought, he had a really good first half, and so did a lot of guys in the team. So as Adzi says, we know now that we've got to do that more consistently and for longer periods in the game.
And did you break this vessel?
Yeah, I think for this game, we really talked about just emptying the tank because we do have the break now, and I suppose when we've freshened up after that break, then we'll break it down to probably 3 more games. We've got 1 home game and then 2 away, and then look at our outcomes that we want to get out of those 3 games. But more specifically, the first game when we come back, making sure that we really make this stockade a fortress.
So do you think the goal?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we have to. That's the evolution of our team. So that's the next one of the next things that we have to do. I think some of that is also just combinations of guys. You know what I mean? Like players who start to understand instinctively how the other one's thinking without having to necessarily communicate it all the time. That comes through just playing together all the time. Yeah, as I say, I'm relatively happy with quite a lot of that game, and unfortunately against a very class outfit, we just let them have too much of the ball and too much of the momentum at times of the game to prevent them from getting away from us.
You spoke about in the last few months.
Yeah, I think we really wanted our performances to do the talking, and every time we leave the field, we want to make sure that our fans are proud of us, not about the result, but about our character and our heart and what we show on the field. We talk about love a lot within the squad. It's a work rate thing, and really making sure that we keep that intensity. I think the first half, I think we were there, and the second half, like I said before, they really capitalised on our ill discipline. But yeah, great turnout, and we've got a home game again in 2 weeks, so hopefully we get a good turnout again, and our fans really get behind us, because that's a massive. It's very important for us, for them to come, and it creates a good atmosphere, and the boys really get up for it.
Yeah, well, you mentioned, I was going to say, it was such a frenetic hope that the atmosphere sort of fed into that. Do you think as well?
Yeah, definitely. We had a scrum 5 metres out, and we could hear the crowd shouting "Rebels." I think that's probably the first time that's happened since I've been here, and just knowing you've got that home support and your home field, it really gets the boys up for it.
I haven't actually had a chance to go back in yet, Joy, so I'm not 100% sure.
Why is?
It's probably too early to talk about them, Jeff. We get we'll take a couple of days off next week. We come back into training on Thursday, so we'll take a couple of days. It's been quite a long block for us with a fair bit of travel back to Japan and a few things like that. So I think guys, just to get away from rugby for a little bit, and then we've got a lot of work to do when we get back.